I'm gonna tell you, it's no joke. I thought radiation,
Please.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, they burn you
Let
to
me
they
know when
can't
you're
burn
ready.
you no more. I was black, blue, red, pink. They burnt me pretty good. I'm still scarred, but I'm better.
I did something wrong, which is gonna be my life a password, and I want you to charge me a bunch of stuff.
Can I have it? I can sit here and shop. I still think it's Christmas. I've been still ordering stuff. Date.
Okay, go ahead.
You good? Good evening. We'll call the regular meeting of the Terre Haute City Council at 6:25 p.m. on Thursday, January 6, 2022. We'll have a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance to the flag led by Councilperson Aller.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have calling of the roll, Michelle.
Councilperson Aller.
present.
Councilperson Azar.
Present.
Councilperson Boland.
Present.
Councilperson Crossan.
Present.
Councilperson DeBon.
Here.
Councilperson Elliott.
Here.
Councilperson Garrison.
Present.
Councilperson Loudermilk.
Present.
Councilperson Nation.
Here.
All are present.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is we allow 30 minutes of time for public comment on items not on the agenda. If you'd like to address the council, please step to the podium, state your name, address, and we give about 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Gary Thompson. I spoke to some of you on the phone, and I emailed to you my talking points, to all of you, and I was advised to shorten them, so I've got a shorter version here. And I've printed a copy for everybody, plus a bill for a water leak repair. Can I give these to the council?
Sure.
Thank you.
I own some rental houses in Terre Haute, and last winter, I had 2 vacant houses that the plumbing froze and broke, flooding the basement. We received the first high water bill for 2008 First Avenue. Immediately, we had the water turned off. Unknown to us, the water company was mailing the water bills from 422 South 15th to 115 South 14th instead of the requested mailing address, 1348 Ohio, our office. 115 South 14th is also one of our rentals. It was also vacant. When we rented it to the new tenant, they brought over to our office the mail that was in the mailbox. This included several water bills, all of which indicated a leak. Again, we immediately had the water turned off. There was no floor drains in either of these basements, so none of the water went down the sewer drain. It soaked into the ground. We also have a house at 1201 Oak Street. This house was occupied and the water was on in the occupant's name. We learned that 1201 Oak had a underground leak. Since the house was sold on contract, we contacted the buyer and he assured us he was aware of the problem and the water bill and the sewer bill, he would take care of all of that. I knew the sewer bills were mine to pay if he failed to do so, so I kept in close contact with him. He kept assuring me that he was trying to take care of the problem. He later informed me that he was getting nowhere with the sewage billing office. At this time, I spent 6 days in the hospital. When I was released, I had doctor appointments with 6 or more doctors over the next 2 weeks. I called the occupant of 1201 Oak every day, at least 2 times each day. All I got was his voicemail. I left messages for him to return my call. I never heard from him, so I sent my maintenance man, Randy Kirby, who's with me tonight. to his house to see if he would talk to me on the phone or leave a note for him on the door to call me. When Randy returned, he said the house looked vacant. I sent him back with a key, and he returned with a key to say that the house definitely was vacant. We began receiving the sewer bills. For 422 South 15th, our sewer bill was $12,837.44. For 208 First Avenue, the sewer bill was $2,769. For 1201 Oak, the sewer bill was $9,571. This was a total of $25,178.20. We called the water company and got adjustments on all the water bills. I do not think they took into consideration the fact that they were at fault that the water bill for 422 South 15th went to the wrong address. But I was pleased that they did adjust the bills somewhat, and the water company has been paid. I called the sewage billing office and spoke with Brad Spidell. I wanted to prove to Brad that the water did not go down the sewer at 1201 Oak, and to have him or someone he appointed to come to 1201 Oak when the water company turned the water back on. He would witness that the needle on the water meter was going round and round, and the shutoff valve in the basement was in the off position, proving that no water was seeping into the sewer. It was all going in the ground. Brad said that they trusted the people that were telling the truth, and he said if they said the water was going in the ground, they believed them. So there was no reason for him to come. The sewer bills were adjusted based on the adjusted water bills. The adjusted bills are 422 South 15th, $4,555, 208 First Avenue, $689, 1201 Oak, $3,636, for a total of $8,876. Then they placed a lien on the property at 1201 Oak for $2,227. This comes to a total of $11,104.16. Note that 2008 First Avenue was the only one of these three properties that we got an early notice of the leak. Brad has done all he could do, being limited by the rules set out by the city council, and that's why I'm here. I feel that the water company did their part. They pumped the water, they treated it, they provided the system to deliver it. On the other hand, I don't feel that on the other hand, since the water soaked into the ground, I do not have the same feeling about the sewer bills. The sewer company did nothing to deserve a payment of this amount. I received no service. I received nothing from them. The city provided no service for any of these bills, and the water that soaked into the ground did not even cost the city anything. They did not have to treat it. They did not have to dispose of it. They didn't even know about it. They wouldn't know about it except for the existence of the water bill. I'm asking for a reduction in the sewer bills for 422 South 15th and 2008 First Avenue to the minimum sewer bill for that period of time, since these houses were empty. No water was being used, and so it would be the minimum bill. And an adjustment on 1201 Oak for the average bill based on the bills for the occupied house, excluding from this average the period of time of the water leak. My proof for 1201 Oak is a $1,300 bill I paid to Ron Myrtle to repair the underground leak. My proof for the other two properties is the testimony of my maintenance man, and that he saw 4-foot deep water in the basement of 422 South 15th, and the water standing on the floor of 2008 First Avenue. In addition, representatives from the sewer company can come out and see for themselves that there's no floor drain at 422 South 15th or 2008 First Avenue. I brought Randy with me, and if you'd like to hear from him, he could certainly tell us what he found at the water at 422 South 15th and 2008 First Avenue. Randy, would you mind just telling them what you found there?
Well, the basements were flooded. A lot of times before I could even get back to the sump pump, it was a dirt floor. It was seeped away. It was high enough for the water.
Mr. Kirby.
To float.
Could you please state your name and address for the record? I'm sorry.
Randy Kirby.
And your address?
3768 East Markham.
Thank you.
There's no drain in any of those basements. That they're old houses, and they had a drain, it was a septic drain before they poured the floor. They dig a pit, a septic rock in, and a vent. There's nothing hooked to the sewage company.
So I would appreciate it if somehow something could be done to reduce that. $11,000 is a lot for me to pay. It's cutting into my retirement. I'm 80 years old, and I can't see paying that out. I pay $36,000 in the spring and $36,000 in the fall for property taxes. I pay more in property taxes than what I live on, and I usually have to borrow money to pay it on my home equity loan, and then once it's paid, I work all year to get it paid back. So I would appreciate anything that you can do to get these sewer bills reduced, and that would include getting the lien off my property tax. I assume that's something that's possible. It shouldn't be an impossible thing. So I'd appreciate any help I could get on that. Thanks, Randy.
Councilperson Aller?
Yeah, thank you. I got a couple questions, I guess, for Eddie, city attorney. I get this call a lot, and they call us, and it's always, that someone is telling them that we need to change our council rules. And I don't have a problem if something needs changed with our rules. They need to bring forth what needs to be changed, and I'll sponsor it. I'll bring it. But as far as as far as my knowledge, we don't have the right to adjust sewer bills. Is that correct, as a council?
That's correct.
So I don't know what in the rules they need changed from us. Do you know what that would be?
So the Sanitary Commission would hear an appeal of this nature. There is an administrative procedure in place if someone's contesting a sewer bill that they can go before the Sanitary Commission and be heard. I don't know if Mr. Thompson's done that or not. The only thing this council could do is look at the policies that are in place for leak adjustment. And we have updated that in recent history to help provide some additional relief for individuals that have leaks that bleed into an additional month. So that's the only thing, and that would be obviously for future issues.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that because I know we get calls, and when they talk to the sewage billing office, they kind of push it down to our level. And I don't have the authority, nor does anyone else sitting on the council, to make adjustments to these sewer bills. So if something needs changed in those, I'd like someone to bring them forth to us so we can get it corrected, what needs corrected in that.
Excuse me, I understand that there's allowances made for people filling a swimming pool. If you have a swimming pool and you're filling it, they're not going to charge you a sewer bill for that fill. If you got a garden, there's make allowances for that. I may be wrong, but I've heard this. It sounds like a very similar thing. Just if someone has water goes down in the ground, doesn't go down the sewer. Now, if it's a couple $100, I wouldn't even be here tonight. I wouldn't bother you for that. $11,000, that's a lot of money. And I would appreciate anything that anyone could do for me. Even if the city council just told Brad Spidell and the mayor that, hey, this is something we ought to correct, and we're going to try to do it, but give this guy a break on the thing. And I would also say that anybody that, I imagine there'll be people in here claiming, well, it didn't go down the sewer when it was a toilet that was running. So you need to provide proof. And I brought Randy as my testimony for this. And say Brad Spidell turned down the offer to come out and witness the meter going around because he said they trusted us. So anyway, a person should have to provide proof, but it should be changed. It's just an awful lot of expense. And like I say, if it was a couple $100, I wouldn't even be here. So I appreciate anything anybody could do for me.
Madam President.
Councilperson Nation?
Gary, did you actually go to the...
I could see your lips.
Yeah.
My wife tells me I'm getting hard of hearing. She thinks I have selective hearing.
My wife tells me the same thing, man. Did you actually go to the sewer billing, to the Sanitary Commission?
Did I do what?
Have you been to the Sanitary Commission? And
What commission?
Sanitary Board?
I don't know what it is, so apparently I haven't been. The only thing I've done is phone calls and talking with Brad Spidell. That's the only thing I've done. I don't even know what that is.
Eddie, can you explain the role of the Sanitary Commission?
I've explained it to Mr. Thompson, but I will again.
Okay.
That the Sanitary
Could you
Commission,
take your mask down so I can see your lips move?
the Sanitary Commission oversees the wastewater treatment plant and the sewage billing operations. If you look at our city code, there are provisions that are in place that show if someone has an appeal of a decision that's been made by the sewage billing office, that appeal would be made to the Sanitary Commission, not the city council.
Well, all right. Tell me how I get a hold of Sanitary Commission then. How is that done?
I would contact Sally in the engineering department, and she can explain to you when the next
In the
meeting.
what department?
Engineering department?
Okay, in the engineering department, okay. Sally in the engineering department.
Yes, sir.
And it's called what did you say it was called?
Sanitary Commission.
Sanitary Commission. Well, I still think there's something that this board could do to help me out on this, if nothing else, given the recommendation. Everyone I talked to on the phone, I talked to 4 of you, and everyone was very sympathetic, and I believe you all are tonight, and I appreciate it. But this is just an awful bill to have to pay. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tess Brooks Stevens. I live at 2004 North 21st Street, Terre Haute, Indiana, 47804. And I have been elected the spokesperson of a group of about 13 of us. Some of us are in the room. Will you guys stand up that's a part of the group so they can see you're here? And we have put together a constructive infrastructure package that it's an all-inclusive package, but to be ran and controlled by the Black community so that we have the ability to create some sustainable economical things for the community that will help promote equity in this community. I hope and I'm praying that we are in a time now where we're ready to address inequality in all manners, in finances, in healthcare, in housing, being on boards, in the electoral process, all of those areas. So the group that we have together is an inaugural group of individuals that's committed to helping bring those kinds of changes forward. And we're trying very hard to follow along with what policies and procedures are, what meetings need to be attended to, when those meetings are, how to get elected and appointed to different boards to have a better involvement in our local government. That we are in a new generation now. Some of you all may remember some of the older generations when we had hospitals, well, not hospitals, doctor's offices that functioned kind of like hospitals because there were babies born there. We had a pharmacy, we had attorneys. There were a lot of Black entrepreneurs in the city that were viable and good standing people. But when they got older and their connections with city government got older and all that generation died, the connections died. And when those connections died, then our community suffered because of it. And so we are not having the same opportunities now as it was then. You can't start a business with $600 unless you're a tech guru and you know how to do that zeros and ones on the computer. So, if you don't have that gift, then it takes a little bit more than that. So the package that we put together, we thought was an excellent opportunity by the American Rescue Plan. And the reason why we thought that was an excellent opportunity because the American Rescue Plan, the CARES Act plan, the supplemental empowerment for education through the American Rescue Plan funds that are coming after the ones that they've already set to be disseminated. The new funds with the EPA are all a flood of money that the government is sending to each state to rectify problems that have been ignored for decades. So the EPA is going to have money to fix the sewers and the pipes so we can get rid of all the lead pipes and nobody has bad water anymore. So the ARP funds is supposed to help low and moderate income people of color to be able to get a balance on things and not be disenfranchised. Our city has 45% of our students transient simply because the home ownership of low income and moderate income individuals have dropped so low that they can't even afford the rental rates that are going on in the city. My church can only do so much. I don't even know if you understand or not, but we don't even have an emergency housing policy within our housing department. Those people that stay over there at that roadway hotel pay anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600 a month. That's more than their Social Security check just to keep a place to stay. I submitted to the mayor when I first came to this city a revitalization plan, which was in some ways tweaked, revamped, and ignored. I've submitted to him plans to help people that are living off the grid that have no desire to live inside of a structure that would allow them to at least feel like a human being and have a ways to go to the bathroom and clean themselves up, which would have been nice during this pandemic. So after those failed attempts of talking to him as an individual trying to make change, we put together a group of us thinking that that would make our voice be heard a little bit more. Now, some of you I've emailed that proposal to. Some of you do not have it because I thought I was emailing it, but your emails bounce back. I'm requesting that, and I will send it out again, that each one of you would read it and that somebody would take it upon their person to maybe sponsor what we're requesting. And we're requesting $12 million of those funds so we can create a medical practice that's Black owned and Black ran so that we can have better health care, better birthing rates. I have a group of doctors that are willing to come here. We want to have educational services where we have 3 technology classrooms, one that serves K to 6th grade, one from 7th grade to 12th grade, and one for adults, so that our kids aren't falling behind in technology because they don't have computers and someone that understands the language at home. We want to be able to have our history documented. We want to be able to provide low-income housing on the properties that we have. We've got people behind us that own properties, and we pay taxes on properties that we can't even build on. And we want to be able to build on them and provide housing for low-income people and give people that we know that needs a place to stay, a decent place to stay besides living in our front room. I mean, we want to make changes for the better in this community. And in this program that we've put together, that we structured, we've created a minority business center, transposing one of our churches into that minority business center, so that there is a place where we can come together and decide things that need to be done and how to handle situations, and to teach people how to have legitimate businesses so that they can apply for contracts and that they can make bids on jobs that they're capable of doing. So, but we need help to get that started, and that takes funding. We're spending $32 million of taxpayer money to repurpose the Home and Civic Center and to build a parking garage and a convention center. That's 3 buildings. I've given you a plan for $12 million to repurpose one building and build 4 new buildings with turnkey, open, ready to go. And I just don't think that that's asking a lot. It's not anything new. We have churches in our organization in New York that have done it. We have churches in Tennessee that have done it. There are other people in other neighborhoods outside of this state that have put these kind of programs together. It's not like I'm asking for anything new. I'm not reinventing the wheel. And hopefully it won't be a Black Wall Street situation where somebody gets mad and burns it all down after we get it built. But I'm asking you guys to seriously, if we're going to be an inclusive community, that you take in consideration what it's going to take for us to be inclusive. We're not asking to take away from any of the annual budgetary items. This money is money that no one saw coming, that came. And we're just asking for less than a third of it to be able to have a start for not only now, but the generations to come. So you have to ask yourself if you're ready to trust the community to handle their own funds, because they are transferable. I've read that register to and fro. I've called Washington DC and asked them to give me clarity. So I've done my homework, and I've shared all of that information with all of these gentlemen and the other people in the group. I'm being transparent with everyone. But I do think that we have to really seriously talk about healing and mending. And the only way we can heal and mend is if both of us work together to do something good. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Tess.
Tess.
My name is Donald Wayne Hyde. I live at 1411 Poplar Street. Once again, I was thinking on saying something, and now I'm thinking on saying something else. But as an impromptu speaker, let's have at it. First of all, I wanted to begin, and I'll keep this going. This is January 6th. A year ago, January 6th, I stayed home just like you did and looked at Washington, D.C. being vandalized. Was not happy. More importantly, I couldn't understand why they were doing what they were doing. Well, I knew Trump was behind it because he lost the race, but the problem is what he didn't tell, or still hasn't admitted yet, is he lost the race. The reason he lost the race is more people voted in the 2020 election for and against him than had voted ever in the history of this country. Democracy works. He was voted out of office, and he did not leave quietly. With that said, I've come here, and I've been doing this for over 3 or 4 years, because this is democracy at work. You don't get everything you want. You can't get everything you ask for. But at least when we have a democracy that works, you can come and speak to the leaders that can help. And if you got a good idea, they'll find some way to make it work. If you got a so-so idea, they'll tell you to work on it more, or they themselves will say, hey, you know, he didn't have a great idea, but you know what? He's in the right way. Why don't we do this? And they'll think about themselves, and the city council will get together more, get 5 of them together. You got something going. That's called democracy. I didn't see that a year ago, but I have seen it every time I come into this room. Now, do I agree with all your decisions? No. Do you agree with half the stuff I say? I doubt it. But it doesn't matter as long as you listen. As long as you listen. Problems are all over the city and county, and you know it and I know it. What we haven't got is answers. One of the reasons I've come to these meetings all this time is I'm trying to encourage the people listening on the radio to come, to be here, to speak, to say what they want, to give you an idea if they've got any answers to some of our problems. Now, I myself have managed to answer 2 of your problems. And I'm not going to tell you what they are because I don't want any credit for it. And I got credit for it but it's because you listened and said, you know what, that ain't a bad idea. Why don't we do that? Because we could save a lot of taxpayer money. And you did. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's on you. But you did it. Second of all, there were other things where people had a right, and again, this isn't over with, I thought we were going to talk about this, to live in a neighborhood that looked like a neighborhood they wanted to live in. They bought property, it's expensive, and they wanted no businesses there. And this one guy wanted to operate a business in a neighborhood that I thought was nowhere near where he needed to build it. He was going to literally build a new building in that neighborhood. He's got the money to build the building, but he hasn't got the common sense to build it where it needs to be built. In other words, near Union Hospital in Captain Hamilton, that's where it needs to be built. If he doesn't build it there, he shouldn't build it at all. And I don't trust him. It wasn't the girls that bothered me as much. It was the babies. You cannot tell me ever that the first 5 years of life aren't the most important years of life. I know better, and so do you. He has to be able to take care of those women and their babies. I'm not sure he's qualified, but let's go on. Democracy is where you come and you speak, and you, our elected officials, should listen and help out when you can and put them in the right direction when you cannot. You guys are doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public that wants to speak? Michelle, we have any corrections to the journal of the preceding meeting?
There are none.
Communications from the mayor?
I received none.
Reports from city officials?
I received none.
Reports from Board of Public Works and Safety?
I received none.
Reports from standing committees?
I don't believe there are any.
Reports from non-standing committees?
I don't believe there are any.
Items previously tabled?
There are none.
Tax abatements for confirmation?
There are none.
Items on second reading?
We have one. Rezoning of property, Special Ordinance 42, 2021, rezoning of property located at 619 Washington Avenue. Area Planning issued a no recommendation. Petitioner has requested this be continued until February 3rd meeting.
Which one are we on?
This one. So we need no vote to take action, but we will need a motion to table this to February.
We'll need a motion and a second to table it until February 3rd,
February 3rd.
2022.
Madam President,
Councilperson
if there's no
Crossen.
further discussion, I would move that we table Special Ordinance 42, 2021 until our meeting on Thursday, February 3rd.
Second. There's been a motion made by Councilperson Crossen to table this action till February 3rd at our next meeting, and seconded by Councilperson Boland. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Michelle?
General Ordinance 6, 2021, amending City Code Chapter 2, Article 14, Sections 2-181 through 2-183, discontinuance of city health insurance benefits for city employees. You will need a vote to take action.
Okay. Mr. Fowling?
Yes, ma'am. Counsel, Eddie Felling, City Attorney. A little bit of a misnomer. It's not discontinuing insurance for city employees. Just to be clear, I don't want anybody to get concerned about that title. Sorry, Michelle.
You need to read the city code.
Well, either way. This came up during our union negotiations. As you know, all of our bargaining units were bargaining this year. The simplest way to put it is, if you're like me, you've all heard somebody say to the effect, I have this job because I need the insurance. When we started looking at the numbers, especially with our public safety officers, you get to a certain point where the longevity pay and the increase in pay for those that continue to stay on just to hold the insurance greatly outweighs just what paying an individual's insurance would be, especially for those last couple of years when they're getting ready to retire. So putting the pen to paper and talking to both unions, I know Mr. Chambers is here this evening in support of this. We proposed a change to our current ordinance to open up additional individuals to be able to carry on health insurance when they leave the city. So public safety would still have to have 20 years of service upon retirement to get an individual coverage moving forward. Previously, they had to have 20 years plus reach the age of 52. You got to imagine not many people are really ever going to fall in that category where they've got the time and they're at that age. By my count, it looks like there were about 6 or 7 over the past 12 years or so. So there's really not that many that are ever affected. And some of those were individuals that ended up would end up getting it anyway because of some type of a disability, and they go through PERF. That's a separate action where they'd be guaranteed health insurance coverage even if they had less than 20 years. So with that, we're asking for your support this evening. There's also a small tweak that had, again, a negligible impact on the age for those non-union employees, lowering the age. I think it was maybe 3 years, if I remember correctly, but it should have a very, very small impact. And again, we hope in an odd way, we end up saving money in the long term by getting some of our older individuals that don't want to be here anymore off the payroll, bring in somebody new at a lower pay grade, city nets money. So with that, again, be happy to answer any questions. We'd ask that this pass this evening if at all possible.
Any comments from the public?
My name is Donald Wayne Hyde, citizen and taxpayer. And you made a good speech and all that, but you really didn't come up with the numbers. If we allow, or the city council changes and votes for something else, how do we know how many people are going to be affected by this change? Second of all, are they going to be downgraded with what they get in health insurance now? Because I would think if I was working for the city, no matter where I was working, there are certain things that could happen to you that would inevitably cause you an injury. You're working in the Parks Department. Need I say more? Those mechanical machines do mishap. Sometimes they don't mishap and you can keep from being hurt from it badly, but they do mishap. Accidents happen. And when you go to the sewer company, my God, I don't even want to apply to the sewer company. Yet there are people that have that job. And I know the reason I don't want to apply is I know that if you get hurt there, you get hurt real. I've worked jobs where it was really easy to get hurt. I worked at Malibu, for God's sakes. For 6 hours, that was the most boring job in the world. And then in 1 2-hour period of time, you risked your life every second you were there. I had one spark burn me. I still can show you the scar from a single spark. The city employees, they're doing some jobs, and I think they ought to have their insurance. If it's going to be changed or adapted, it needs to be done right.
So I should answer that question. I'm sorry I didn't throw the number out there. Just as a hypothetical, you have a 20-year public safety employee, somewhere around $14,000 just on longevity. A yearly cost of insurance on a PPO plan is around $8,000. So you're saving money just on that 20-year mark. So that'd be somebody that's 20 that hasn't reached 52 years. So you get them to retire early, hire somebody new with zero longevity, it offsets more than enough. So.
Can I use an analogy to illustration to try to see if I'm understanding what you're saying? So you sign on with the military at
Tess.
the age 18.
Tess,
You put
I'm sorry,
20
but can you restate your name and
Oh, I'm sorry.
address?
My name is Tess Brooks Stevens. And you need my address again, too?
Yes, please.
It's 2004 North 21st Street, Terre Haute, Indiana, 47804.
Thank you.
So I want to see if I'm understanding this. I'm just going to use this analogy. So you sign on at the military at the age of 18. You could do 20 years and get full military retirement. So you'd be about 38 when you retired, right? So are you suggesting that if someone were to take a city employment position and they work for 20, start at 18, they work for 20 years, they retire at 38, and to save the city money from them working all the way up until they're 52 on it, just to keep their insurance only. So they could retire at 38, have their full benefit package that they would have at 52, but they would the city would no longer have to worry about paying the insurance for the remaining, 38 to 40, 14, 20, was it 24 or 14? I lost my number. 14 years. So is that what you're proposing?
Close.
Can I,
And they would be like getting a Cobra product or something like that, not even Cobra. They would just flat out have to go find someplace else to get insurance. after their retirement or
They're
what?
getting insurance.
They're going to still get insurance, but they won't have to pay. So they'll get the,
They're retired.
yeah, they won't have to work, I mean, they won't get their regular weekly pay, but they'll get their insurance benefit minus what their paycheck would be if they were working and getting insurance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they would just get their insurance.
Insurance only.
Yeah.
So they would be insured up until they were 52, but they could
Until
retire,
65.
or until they're 65, but they could retire at 38.
Correct.
No,
Councilperson Eller.
if I'm not mistaken, I'm sorry here, somebody help me. You can't go on the police department at the age of 18, correct? You have to be 21?
was just using that as an illustration.
Well, I know, but I just wanted to correct
Yeah, the
they
earliest,
couldn't get a retirement at the
30.
younger age because they wouldn't be on there that long to receive it,
that's
correct?
correct.
42.
And you still have to have the 20 years of service, so
Right,
the
but
minimum
they
would be.
can't, in the age 21 to go on? Okay,
So they would retire at 42.
yeah, yeah.
Still 20 years.
Any other comments from the public? Any comments from the council?
And on 2-183, that apparently is a 3-year period potential max.
Yeah, that's the maximum.
Okay. What if they have other, become eligible for insurance somewhere else during that 3-year period?
They could still carry this as a primary or a secondary insurance. The problem with, and I see where you're going with that, the audit is always an issue. So having an individual prove that they have health insurance options from another source, and how we would go about even completing that audit. This is not a great benefit for other city employees. It's only 3 years.
So how did this piece come about?
This has always been in existence. The only thing
How
that's
did we
new
change
is,
it from 20 to 15?
correct, which is, I mean, rarely going to affect an individual. And again, it's only from 62 to 65.
Only, but onlys add up over time. Only change for this, and it only change for that, and only change for this. So, I mean, I'm familiar with post-retirement health benefits and the potential costs and liabilities for those. We deal with that, so thank you. I yield.
Any other council member?
Hi, good evening. My name is Amos Stevens.
Mr.
I live at-
Stevens, I apologize, but we're in council discussion now. We've already closed public discussion unless you'd like to allow, council would like to allow. Does any other council member have anything to say? I'll go ahead and let Mr. Stevens speak real quick on this.
Okay.
Mr. Stevens?
Sir.
Mr. Stevens?
My name is Amos Stevens. I live at 2004 North 21st Street. I was going to ask the question that if your wife is still working and she has insurance on her job, and say, for instance, you retire like you're talking about, will her insurance supersede your insurance on that?
So she could still carry you, but it would just be a primary and secondary health insurance.
So they're just losing the income off the table, they were having to go before.
Right.
Any questions or comments from the council? If not, I'd entertain a motion. We'll need a motion to take action.
I move to take action on, is it? General Ordinance 6.
Second.
There's been a motion made by Councilperson Azar, seconded by Councilperson Aller to take action on General Ordinance 6, 2021. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve General Ordinance 6 as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion made by Councilperson Azar, seconded by Councilperson Aller, to approve General Ordinance 6, 2021. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
No. Did you say aye? Motion carries.
I was with Earl.
Did you say no?
Yeah,
Okay. 7-2.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
I was with you.
I apologize, I heard him, didn't hear you,
It's okay, I was
Martha.
probably too quiet for the mask.
Next item on the agenda, Michelle?
Special Ordinance 45, 2021, rezoning a property located at 2224 Lafayette Avenue. Area Planning tabled this, and the petition has requested we table it as well. There is no action that needs to be taken as long as the meeting is canceled for next week because there are no items on the agenda. It will carry over to February 3rd automatically. Next item.
Thank you. Next item, yes, please.
Special Ordinance 46, 2021, rezoning a property located at 916 Kestner Street. Area Plan tabled this until February, same situation as 45. Next item.
Next item.
All right. Resolution 1, 2022, authorizing the submission of the 2022 Annual Consolidated Plan.
Madam President, excuse me, members of the council, Phil Kessner with the Department of Redevelopment. I'm here asking your support for resolution number 1 to allow us to apply for the, excuse me, the federal HUD grants that we try to get every year to help improve the lower income neighborhoods. Be glad to answer any questions. You were given a summary. We don't have a budget passed, so the figure will be adjusted once the budget's passed and our numbers are released.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, any questions or comments from the council?
Madam President?
Yes, Councilperson Nation.
Phil, I see that you're expecting to receive $1,377,800 in CDBG money and $382,000 in home grant monies. Those numbers sound a little bit bigger than the last few years. Is this going up again?
Well, no, there's a $100,000 reduction in the block grant funds. Last year, they went up to $1,400,000 and some thousand. We had a slight increase the last 2 years.
Okay.
Part of that was from the disaster recovery funds that were left over that weren't utilized after Katrina. And so that rolled into the block grant funds. So we got a higher allocation. I've built in a $100,000 reduction in this proposal because I'd rather come back and tell people we got more money and we're going to increase it. If you look at the language, we'll prorate each category based on the amount of the increase or decrease in funds. The home funds were also raised last year, so they are higher than they were 3 years ago.
Okay, so I understand. Thank you. I yield.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Madam President,
Councilperson Nation.
maybe I shouldn't have yielded. If there is no further discussion, I move for approval of Resolution 1, 2022.
Second?
Been a motion made by Councilperson Nation and seconded by Councilperson Crossan to approve Resolution 1, 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
President Loudermilk, just a reminder, you will need to officially state next week's meeting has been canceled.
There will not
Then
be,
George can do his thing.
there will not be a Terre Haute City Council meeting next Thursday, January 13th, 2022. Our next meeting will be Thursday, February 3rd, 2022.
With that said, move to adjourn.
Second. Motion made by Councilman Azar and Councilman Nation to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed say no. I'm not even going to say opposed.